بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. 217 was narrated by Abdullah ibn Ma'qal. He said, I sat with Ka'b ibn Ujrah, may Allah be pleased with him, and asked him about the fidyah. And he replied, this ayah, this revelation was revealed concerning my case especially, but it is also for you in general. I was carried to the Prophet ﷺ, and the lice were falling in great numbers on my face. The Prophet said ﷺ, I've never thought that your ailment or struggle has reached to such an extent as I see. Can you afford a sheep? I replied in negative. Then he said, fast for 3 days or feed 6 poor persons, each with half a sa' of food. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ ordered him to distribute a farq, which is 3 sa'as between 6 poor persons, sacrifice a sheep or fast 3 days. This hadith is usually related to what is known as fidyatul adha, and fidya means ransom, and here it means what you pay as an expiation or what you do in return for something that took place which you were not supposed to do as a muhrim. And Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned this in Surah Al-Baqarah, and Allah Azza wa Jal told us that those who have a need to do some of the things that are restricted in Ihram, and among them is to have something wrong or something harmful in their head, and hence they need to remove that hair, this is permissible, as in the case of Ka'b ibn Ujrah, but one has to pay the expiation. In this hadith and from other hadiths, when looking at them through the light of the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, we understand that if a person is in need to do something of the restricted things in Ihram, he is given the choice of one of 3, either to sacrifice a sheep or a 1/7 of a camel or a cow, or to feed 6 people the amount of half a sa' each, which means that he should feed each poor person 2 muds, or he has a choice of fasting 3 days. And there is no preference to those. Scholars say you have the choice, but of course we know that a sacrifice is far greater than feeding 6 poor person or fasting the 3 days. And scholars cascade this hadith to any of the things that are restricted to do while in the state of Ihram. And they give an example. If a person is handicapped or disabled and cannot wear the dress of Ihram, the garments of Ihram, in this case scholars say that if he had to wear trousers or a shirt or something that is not permitted for a muhrim, this is permissible, but he has to pay fidyatul adha. He has to give this compensation or this expiation for the things that he's going to do. Likewise, if a person had to clip his nails for one reason or the other, or he had to put perfume, or he put it intentionally, not he had to, but he put it intentionally, in this case he has to give the fidya to al-adha. As for those who do these things out of forgetfulness or out of a mistake, it's not intentional, and then scholars say that they are not obliged to do anything. because Allah Azza wa Jal forgives those who do such acts out of forgetfulness or by mistake. The following hadith is narrated by Abu Shuraih Khuwaylid ibn Amr al-Khuza'i, may Allah be pleased with him, that he said to Amr ibn Sa'id ibn al-As, and he was going to send troops in batches to Mecca. Amr ibn Sa'id, he was going to send armies to Mecca to fight Abdullah ibn Zubair, may Allah be pleased with him, and with his father. So Abu Shuraih said, "O chief," and he's respectfully addressing the Amir, the leader. So he said, "O chief, allow me to tell you a statement which Allah's Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said on the second day of the conquest of Mecca. My 2 ears heard it, and my heart remembered it, and my 2 eyes saw him when he said it." The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Mecca has been made a sanctuary by Allah and not by the people. So it is not lawful for a person who believes in Allah and in the last day to shed blood in it or to cut its trees. And if someone asks the permission to fight in Mecca because the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was allowed to fight in it, say to him, Allah permitted his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and did not allow you. And even he, that is the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, was allowed for a short period of the day. And today its sanctity has become the same as it was before. Those who are present should inform those who are absent about this hadith, that is. Then Abu Shuraih was asked, may Allah be pleased with him, what did Amr say to you when you gave him this advice? Abu Shuraih said, he said, I knew that better than you. O Abu Shuraih, the Haram, that is the Mecca area, does not give refuge to a sinner or a fleeing murderer or a person running away after causing destruction. Now this hadith, Abu Shuraih is advising this man who was about to send his troops to fight Abdullah ibn Zubair. And as we know, after the death of Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, there was a confusion whether Yazid was supposed to assume the leadership or the imama or the khilafah or not, and so many things happened afterwards. We will not go into that because history is something that took place in the past, and it would not do us any good to discuss it at the moment. As Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, may Allah be pleased with him and have mercy on his soul, when he was asked about what happened between Ali and Muawiyah, he said, Allah Azza wa Jal did protect our swords from participating in such a battle, and therefore we protect our tongues from talking about such a subject, because it would not do you any good. However, Abu Shuraih is speaking to Amr when he wanted to do what he wanted to do, and he told him, I'll give you an advice. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam told us the second day of his conquest to Mecca, and it's an issue of dispute among scholars, was Mecca opened by force or was it by truce? And the most authentic opinion, it was opened by force, and that is why the Prophet entered it with an army, and that is why he's saying in this hadith that Allah made it permissible only for me, only for a portion or a period of the day. So Abu Shuraih, may Allah be pleased with him, went to Amr and spoke to him in a very polite manner. And this is how people should talk to the leaders and to those who assume positions. It is not at all part of the sunnah to go to the leader and shout at him or curse him or talk to him in a disrespectful way, especially in front of people, because Allah ordered Musa and Harun to go to Pharaoh and to advise him gently. and he's Pharaoh, and they're the messengers of Allah. Yet Allah ordered them to address him in a very lenient and soft manner. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So Abu Shuraih addressed this ruler in a very polite manner, and he told him, give me the chance, give me the permission to tell you about something that I've heard, something that I've seen, something that my heart remembers seeing the Prophet ﷺ say. What did he say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? After praising Allah and complimenting him, the Prophet said that this area, the sanctuary of Mecca, was made a sanctuary since Allah created the heavens and the earth. So it was not sanctioned by people. It was not made a sanctuary for a period of time. It has been made a sanctuary since Allah created the heavens and the earth, and it is not permissible until the day of judgment for a man who believes in Allah on the day of judgment to shed blood in it, nor to cut a tree of what grows in it or grass. And if someone justified his action by saying that the Prophet ﷺ fought in Mecca and this is a sunnah, tell him that it was given as a special permit and permission for the Prophet ﷺ from Allah, and you don't have the similar permission. And not only that, that Allah gave his Prophet ﷺ only a period of the day, a portion of the time, and not for you. And the Prophet says in the second day after the conquest of Mecca, and now its sanctuary had came back to it again as it was yesterday. So no one can do anything that goes against what the Prophet ﷺ has stated or goes against its sanctuary. And the Prophet not only said that, he said that all of you must inform those who were not present today. Scholars say, what is the ruling on executing prescribed punishment, such as killing a murderer, such as chopping the hand of a person who stole? They all agree that if a person makes his sin, makes his crime in the sanctuary of Mecca, then he must be punished for that. And they differed if a person committed his sin or his crime outside of the sanctuary and then fled to Mecca seeking to be secure and safe. And they differed. Some of them said he cannot be punished there. You cannot implement the prescribed punishment on him there, and he has to be forced to go out of the haram area, and then he may be punished. Others say, no, you can do that, because otherwise people would go and flee to Mecca whenever they make a crime. And this is an issue of dispute among scholars, and we will have one of the hadiths that proves that if a person commits a crime, he is to be punished even in Mecca. However, this is again an issue of dispute, and therefore the reference in it is the ruler of Mecca. And if the ruler of Mecca says it's to be implemented, then it is okay. And if he says no, you have to get him out and then give him the necessary punishment, then it should be done as well. The following hadith is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father. He said that on the day of conquest of Mecca, the Prophet ﷺ addressed the people, and he said that there is no more migration after the conquest of Mecca but jihad and intention. And whenever you are called for jihad, you should go immediately. What does that mean? The hadith is not over, but I'm just trying to explain it while giving it to you. The Prophet said that there's no migration after the conquest of Mecca. This is not a general concept. This is specific, meaning that no one migrates from Mecca elsewhere. Because before the conquest of Mecca, all those who accepted Islam in Mecca were forced and instructed and ordered to migrate to Medina, because Medina was the city of Islam and Mecca at the time was not. After the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet says that migration from Mecca is over. But it is still continuous till the Day of Judgment from any country of the world. And what is the criteria to migrate from any country of the world? Scholars say if you're unable to practice Islam, if you're unable to show your Islam, it becomes mandatory upon you to travel and to migrate to a Muslim country. Give an example. If you're not able to pray in the masjid, they stop you, they prevent you from praying in the masjid. Or if they prevent you from naming yourself or your children Muslim names, if they're preventing your wife from wearing the hijab, if they are not allowing you to eat halal meat, all of these things are part of our religion. If you're not able to do this, in this case it is mandatory for you to migrate this country or that region, because it's a region of kufr. And then the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, after that there is no migration from Mecca, but there is jihad and intention. So whenever some of the rulers call you for jihad, you should go immediately. Meaning that you may not migrate from Mecca, but you may go out of Mecca if the Islamic ruler requests your presence to fight for the cause of Allah, to make jihad, and it has to be the Islamic ruler, not any Muslim. He has to be the ruler who has the control of the country and who has the army. Once he tells you generally to fight in the cause of Allah, or specifically you are drafted, then you have to respond as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he goes to say, no doubt Allah Azza wa Jal has made this place, that is Mecca, a sanctuary since the creation of the heavens and the earth, and will remain a sanctuary till the day of resurrection, as Allah Azza wa Jal has ordained its sanctity. Fighting was not permissible in it for anyone before me, and even for me it was allowed only for a portion of the day, which is this hour of mine. So it is a sanctuary with Allah's sanctity till the day of resurrection. Its thorns, and this shows you the greatness of Mecca and the sanctuary of Mecca. Its thorns, the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, should not be uprooted. The thorns that no one uses, the Prophet says it cannot be uprooted. And its game, things or animals that are being hunted, its game should not be chased. So it's not only forbidden to hunt, it's forbidden for you to chase it or to scare it. And the Prophet says its luqata, which are the things that are found, lost things that is, should not be picked up except by the one who would announce that publicly. All of this to show you how great and important and different Mecca is. And its vegetation, that is grass and trees, etc., should not be cut. Al-Abbas said, may Allah be pleased with him, O Prophet of Allah, make an exception of al-Idkhar. And al-Idkhar is a form of plantation that the blacksmith uses, and it is also used for their domestic purposes. So the Prophet ﷺ agreed and said, except the adkhar. From this hadith, we learn that the Prophet ﷺ is emphasizing the fact that Mecca has a sanctuary. No one should uproot its thorns or cut its vegetation, its grass, its trees. But is this general? Scholars say no. If humans plant something or grow something, it's permissible for them to cut. So if humans, for example, grow tomatoes, cucumbers, vegetables, this is permissible for them to cut because they have grown it themselves. But we're talking about the trees, the grass that Allah Azza wa Jal grew and not the humans, then in this case it is not permissible for you to cut. Also, if you find anything that of value in the streets anywhere, you may announce it publicly, and after 1 year it becomes yours, except in Mecca. You can never own it. Whatever you find, you advertise, you announce for it publicly until you die. But you may not get it out of Mecca, and you may not own it. So that is why scholars say, if you find something of value in Mecca, leave it. Don't touch it, because the owner will come back to it. And it's not your business whether it is lost or something takes it, unless you're going to take it and give it to the lost and found department. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he said what he had said, even the game, even a rabbit or a pigeon or a deer, you cannot chase it just for the fun of it, let alone hunt it. And this is one of the major sins to be done in Mecca. And there is an expiation for that, as mentioned in the Quran and also as displayed and clarified in the Hadith. When Al-Abbas asked and requested for al-Idkhar to be an exception from what is permissible for the people of Mecca, the Prophet allowed them, alayhi salatu wasalam, to cut this type of vegetation because it was something that they need. And again, from this hadith we learn that Mecca has a special place, has a special sanctity to it, unlike any other spot in the world. And this is not because the Prophet had made it haram, not because Ibrahim, peace and blessing be upon him, made it haram. It is because Allah is the one who favored it and made it a sanctuary since the beginning of time. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.